All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to talk about something we all use every single day, but maybe don't think of as a technology, and that's money. We're going to trace its incredible journey, from the earliest, simplest forms of exchange all the way to the age of complex algorithms.
But first, let's start with the big problem money actually exists to solve. It really all boils down to one fundamental question. How can total strangers, separated by time and distance, agree that something has value? At its core, it's not really about coins or paper. It's all about trust. And that right there, that's the core idea we're going to unpack. See, every single financial system ever created, every single one, is just an attempt to get people to trust each other. So we're going to see how that very technology of trust has changed, how it's evolved, and how it keeps getting reinvented. To really get where all of this is headed, we've got to go back. I mean, way back. Let's start at the absolute beginning of financial history, in an era before there were any banks, before governments got involved, before any of the big institutions we know today existed. This super early system, some people call it proto-fi. It all started with basic bartering, right? I'll give you some wheat for one of your cows, or I'll fix your roof if you give me a tool. But barter has a huge, fatal flaw. Just imagine you're trying to trade your chickens for a new pair of shoes. Think about it. You have to find someone who not only has shoes that fit you, but also, at that exact moment, really needs some chickens. That's called the coincidence of wants. And man, is it a pain. It's incredibly inefficient. So to fix this mess, humanity naturally started using what we call commodity money, things like seashells, salt, and of course the big one, gold. So why gold? Why did that one stick? Well, it just happened to have these 5 key properties that make for really, really good money. It's hard to find, so it's scarce. It lasts forever. It doesn't rust or rot. You can divide it into smaller pieces. You can carry it around. And pretty much everyone knows what it is when they see it. Gold basically won through natural selection. Nobody declared it should be money. It just was the best tool for the job. So the crucial takeaway from this whole era is that value was physical. It was real. You could hold it in your hand. But this created a whole new problem. Physical friction. I mean, imagine trying to haul your life savings in gold bricks across a continent. It's slow, it's heavy, and it's incredibly dangerous. And that friction, that huge problem, is exactly what paved the way for the next great evolution in money. Right, so to solve the problem of all that physical friction, humanity made a massive shift. We moved our trust away from physical objects, like actual atoms of gold, and started placing our trust in centralized institutions. In this was the birth of the system we all know today as TradFi, or traditional finance. It all started out pretty simply. You'd take your gold to a bank to keep it safe, and they'd give you a little paper receipt for it. Well, pretty soon, people figured out it was way easier to just trade those paper receipts instead of lugging the actual gold around. And then, the bankers had a brilliant and kind of scary realization. They figured out they could issue more receipts than the gold they actually had in the vault. Poof, money created out of thin air. That's the birth of fractional reserve banking, a system built completely on confidence. Now, for centuries, this whole paper system was still, at least in theory, anchored to gold. But that all came to a screeching halt. Everything changed in one single critical moment in history, 1971. It's known as the Nixon shock. The U.S. officially cut the cord to the gold standard. In that one moment, the very last connection between our money and a real, physically scarce asset was just gone, severed. Money was no longer backed by gold, it was now fiat money. That's just a fancy way of saying it has value simply because a government says it does. It's backed by trust in the system, not a tangible asset. And this leads to a pretty mind-bending idea about what it means to own your money. You probably think that the money in your bank account is yours, right? Well, the reality is a little different. What you actually own is an IOU from the bank. It's a claim on a liability on their spreadsheet. That means you need their permission to access it. And yeah, it can be frozen, blocked, or even devalued over time. This shift from a scarce physical asset to just an institutional promise, well, it kicked off a brand new era. Welcome to the age of infinite money. I mean, just stop and think about what that really means. The supply of money was no longer governed by how difficult it is to mine gold. Nope. Now it was based on the decisions of policymakers. So your savings, the wealth you worked for, became subject to political and economic policy. This brought in the risk of inflation on a scale we'd never seen before. It's like your savings are in a bucket with a slow leak. Every time more money is created, that leak gets a little bigger. But it's funny how history works, isn't it? Just as the flaws in one system become obvious, the seeds of the next one are sown. The weaknesses of this institutional infinite supply money sparked a digital revolution, one that aimed to recreate one of money's most important properties, scarcity. And the catalyst was the 2008 global financial crisis. That event shattered a lot of people's trust in the traditional financial system. And then just 1 year later, out of nowhere, an anonymous creator called Satoshi Nakamoto released Bitcoin. It was designed as a direct response, built to solve that age-old problem of trust. But this time, not with institutions, but with pure mathematics. And this right here is Bitcoin's most revolutionary feature: 21 million. That's it. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, not because of a policy or a committee meeting, but because it is written into the core code itself. This was a massive breakthrough, absolute, provable digital scarcity, something that couldn't be inflated away. So you might be asking, okay, but who enforces that rule? And the answer is no one and everyone. It's enforced through decentralization. There's no CEO of Bitcoin, no central server, no headquarters. It's a network run by thousands of independent computers all over the globe, all checking each other's work, which means no single person or government can control it, change the rules, or shut it down. So this really breaks down the two models side by side. On one hand, you have TradFi. It's backed by your trust in institutions, it has an infinite supply, and it gives you a permissioned claim on your money. On the other hand, you have Bitcoin. It's backed by trust in math, it has a provably scarce supply fixed by its protocol, and it gives you absolute sovereign ownership. And now a whole new ecosystem is being built on this foundation. You've probably heard of CeFi, or centralized finance. Think of it like a convenient bridge from the old world. It feels familiar. But for many, the ultimate destination is decentralized finance, or DeFi, where the old financial intermediaries, like banks, start to get replaced entirely by transparent code. So let's bring it all together. This entire journey, from bartering goods to where we are today, has been about refining the technology of trust and ultimately about what all this means for the individual. When you boil it all down, humanity has moved through 3 distinct eras of financial trust. First, we trusted tangible objects we could hold. Then, we outsourced that trust to big institutions. And now, we are entering a brand new era, where we can place our trust in the verifiable certainty of mathematics and code. And this is the key takeaway. We are witnessing a fundamental shift from a system of human decree, which requires belief, to a system of mathematical proof, which only requires verification. The value of the future isn't going to be printed into existence, it's going to be computed. And that is a profound change in the very nature of money. And that leaves us with one final thought. For the first time in history, financial sovereignty isn't just for nations, it's available to individuals. This transformation is happening, with or without us. So the only question left is, will you participate in it?